Hey guys.
Hey, how's it going?
You guys are making me your confidence is making me nervous.
I think this is very surreal. Sitting firstly on the opposite side, but also speaking to you. We've been we know each other for now what 5-6 years. It's a full circle moment. You came on our podcast. Now we're here.
Yeah, you're one of our first ever guests, Asim.
Yeah.
And I mean, whenever we've done podcasts, we've been the ones in your shoes, reading out the questions, preparing. It's nice we can just come here, sort of sit back and hand it over to you.
I'm sure people listening and watching this podcast can tell you guys have been on the other side for a very long time, because that was supposed to be my line. My intro. So thank you so much for taking away that intro from me. But oh well, we're here now. Yeah, maybe we can start off from that. You know, your podcast experience. I mean, you guys are obviously pretty chilled and very confident on the other side now. Like I said, I'm not joking, by the way. I'm very nervous. On this other side, your confidence is making me really nervous. So yeah. So how is that journey?
Yeah, I mean, I think Luke and I met at Warwick. I was doing my first startup. He was doing his first startup. And we were sort of on our way, sort of exiting our startup individually. We came together and we said, look, I think there's a big problem. People don't talk about the actual rough side of entrepreneurship. Everybody's talking about, you know, how entrepreneurs are great and this guy's raised this much money. What about the actual shit that someone goes through? And so we said, you know what, that should be the podcast. So we figured out at Warwick there was this really nice place, where people would sit and get free hot chocolate.
Yeah, it was the politics department. I think they've fixed that loophole now, but we managed to get the code, and we just finished our exams. Varun has messaged me saying, "Do you want to get a burger? We can have a catch up," and had a nice chat, and then we went to this place. It was like 9 p.m. and just drank hot chocolate for like 6 hours together.
Yeah, my stomach did not agree with it. But after that was, I mean, we said, look, I think we should do this podcast. Bring on people that we know, because by the time we had started building our network of entrepreneurs, and we said, you know what, why don't we just have conversations about the real suck behind entrepreneurship? And that went on for 1.5 years. We got into Apple's top 20 charts. Did it for a while, but then realized, there's a slightly bigger fish that we want to fry. And we said we worked well together. We said, you know what, let's actually go and build a company. I think the rest is history.
Yeah,
They say.
They say.
But I think podcast for us was a real means to develop ourselves and develop our network. Like, we were just like 18, 19-year-olds at the time. And if like you message like an entrepreneur or founder when you're just like complete nobody, they might ignore your message. But actually, if you have a podcast, it's a great excuse to meet with them, build a relationship, and for us to develop ourselves in the process. So yeah, it was a really enjoyable thing. And podcasting had a big impact because, as we'll talk about maybe later, that was the first course we did at Let's Level Up as well. So it sparked many different things, and it's sparked this conversation here as well.
I think it's also very interesting, podcasting as a tool, as a mechanism, because it allows you gives you an excuse to talk to people. And I love the mic. I've always enjoyed the mic, and this is just a brilliant excuse to just have intense and deep conversations, an excuse to meet people. And I think that's one of the best things that's happened.
Yeah, I mean, you said it yourself before this, like, you don't feel like you're working today, you're just on podcasts. I think it's a great medium, just an excuse to have a chat and learn, and hopefully people listening enjoy it as well.
And people like talking about themselves. Obviously, you guys are here as well.
Yeah, exactly.
So, we've known each other for quite some time now, and although you guys stole my intro, I think it's also, I feel that we've come full circle. I was one of the first guests on your podcast. You guys are also one of the first guests on my podcast. And for me, it was one of those that obviously I had to bring you guys on. And I think our relationship, it's also interesting in this day and age. It's really difficult to maintain relationships. I was giving Varun the credit the other day when we had a debrief of this podcast. So once again, thank you so much, Varun, for how can I say, for not taking no from for an answer. Where actually I never said no to you for anything. I just somehow was not responsive. But thank you for hanging in there, and we're finally here together. So take me back, guys. I mean, I remember. Wow, I don't even. Now that you said 18, 19-year-olds, wow, that's when we met. You guys were 18, 19-year-olds back then.
Yeah.
Oh, that's crazy. So I remember I was in Warwick University talking about entrepreneurship, and you guys were student entrepreneurs at that time. I was thoroughly impressed from the get-go. Like, I mean, you saying how much you love the mic, and I heard you talk that day as well. And I was like, wow, this man is very charismatic. And I think that's also brought you this far in terms of your, not just your entrepreneurial drive, but also you being a salesperson. And Luke was also, commending on that trait that you have. But yeah, I think it's also very interesting. A lot of students or a lot of young people want to get into the whole entrepreneurial space. Social media obviously plays a big part of that. Social media definitely romanticizes the whole space. And you guys, if you can just take me through your journey. I know you've had few failed businesses. We can come to that. But for now, if you can just, on a very high level, what does entrepreneurship mean to you guys?
We've studied this in different levels because we've studied like entrepreneurship. It's all about like solving problems. And I think that's partly what it is solving problems in the world and hopefully making it a better place in the process. To me, it's like solving problems and organizing resources. Like we were speaking earlier around like Varun's very good at bringing people together in order to solve that problem. I think that's really one of the skills that he's got, and I admire about him. He's able to sell that vision to investors, employees, customers, bringing everyone together. And I think that's what entrepreneurship is organizing those resources and people in such a way that you're solving a problem.
I think for me, it's two things. I think the first thing is when you talk about entrepreneurship, I think one of them is you have this burning desire to either solve a problem or in many cases, actually, you just want to find something to do that you find meaning in. And that meaning could be anything. It could be, again, it goes back to solving a problem, or it could just mean making money. And that's okay. A lot of people begin businesses, boring businesses, as a mechanism to just make money and support themselves. For me, I think the driver and what I think entrepreneurship can really do is create a sense of freedom. And it's a tricky word to use, but I think being able to see a problem and then find ways to solve that problem and then use that as a mechanism then to convert that into getting money for yourself, for the people around you. I think that's in a way entrepreneurship as a sense of like empowerment. And I think when you look at it that way, the world becomes a much nicer place to live in because there are so many problems. People keep saying, oh, world is so flawed and there's so many problems. And I look at it and say, wow, the world is so flawed and there are so many problems. Let's go fix them. And so that shift of like, we will figure it out. We don't have all the answers, but we will figure it out and we will make it work. I think that's what entrepreneurship means to me.
Yeah, I guess it's a mindset of how you like frame a situation. Like you can see an issue, you can see something going wrong, and you can be like, you can complain about it, you can moan about it. But I think the sort of mindset that Varun and I have always had is like, how can we fix that? How can we do something about it? And how can we turn that anger or that issue, that anxiety or that we're facing about a certain situation, how can we turn that into something meaningful? And how can we make money as well in the process of doing it?
I think there's no faster vehicle or better vehicle to actual radical transformation and change than entrepreneurship. because it's the only path where you can actually make money and use that money to influence change.
And the change is also not limited to what you're creating for the world, but I think that exponential, the speed of change also comes back to you as an individual.
100%. I think that's what we always say is like the one thing that we find really fulfilling in our line of work is we support coaches, experts, and it's not just the fact that they're our customers, but it's also the fact that they then have their own customers. And so like when you empower or you enable a coach to succeed, you're not just enabling them to succeed, you're enabling the hundreds and thousands of other people that they're going to impact through their services. And so that's what gives us, at least that's what gives me a lot of purpose and meaning. And at the same time, you're enabling and you're hiring people, you're creating employment for them. And they're like all these spillover third-party benefits that I don't think any other vehicle apart from entrepreneurship can give you.
Yeah, so it's like a ripple effect. And I think if you can just create that ripple, even if it's very small, in a positive way, and I think that's really how we see it. Like when we were making decisions, working out like who we wanted to be our customer, we were like, okay, this person, if we can impact 1,000 people who are impacting 1,000 people themselves, the impact that we're going to create is going to be far greater in that process.
Yeah, I keep telling my team, before my team, I keep telling myself and then the team, I'm here to change the world. But what I really mean by that is changing me and the 5 people around me. That's it. And if we continuously are able to do that, inevitably we'd be able to change the world. Before we get into your existing business and what magical things that you guys are doing, take me back a little bit in terms of your mindset. You speak about the entrepreneurial mindset, and you've had, you guys have had businesses before your current business. So what businesses you've had and where did this mindset come from?
So my first business, quote unquote, was a cake selling business. So when I was 12, there was like a school skiing trip.
Did you make the cakes?
Luke, don't lie. Your first business was not a cake business.
It was.
No, it wasn't. It was you modeling.
Okay, well...
Go on then.
The first time I made money was I was a baby model, but I didn't collect any of the money. My parents pocketed that.
What is the first lesson in business? Own your money.
Now he knows.
now he knows.
No, regret. Well, if anyone's watching and they want a new model, let me know. But yeah,
he can change the shirt.
Can do. Yeah, my dad was like, if you want to go on this trip, you got to make, I think it was like £500. And I was like, okay, how can I do that? And so my mum was a chef and she taught me how to bake cakes. And so, yeah, I started selling cakes to my community, to people in my village. I'd knock on their door, would hand out leaflets, sell it to pubs, sell it to like cricket and football teams over time. And that was like my first, I never saw it as running a business. I just saw it as a means to an end of being able to pay for this trip. But now I look at it on like retrospect. I was able to like learn customer service, learn selling skills, get good at baking. I don't expect any cakes from me now. I'm kind of a bit sick of it now, but it was really good at the time, a good learning experience for me. And then I sort of had like a break from like 14 to 18 or so when I went to Warwick. I had some issues with my vocal cords, which basically meant I couldn't speak for like 3 or 4 years properly. Oh, wow. And it really like hurt my confidence. So yeah, I didn't do any of the businessy things during that time. But then through doing like some vocal therapy and stuff, I was able to speak normally as I am now. And then when I went to Warwick, it was a really good environment because it was like this safe space where I could take risks and I could try out different things. And the first thing I did was me and some friends, we would collect food waste from a nearby fruit and vegetable market, and then we would give it to these disadvantaged women in Coventry, and they would turn it into wonderful curries, and then we'd sell those curries on campus. So it was like this proper like circular economy sort of business model that we created. That was called Food Intercept. So I think it's still running at Warwick. So it's still pretty cool to see that taking shape. And then after that, then me and some other friends created what was called the People's Backpack, where we'd sell bags and backpacks, and then we would donate the profits that we'd made from that for children's refugees classes in Coventry. So again, that was a good experience. We made quite a bit of money to pay for quite a lot of education classes. So yeah, they were all good experiences, and I think I learned a lot, as I'm sure we can talk about later on. And I think they also brought Varun and I together, because through working on these different business ideas, it developed ourselves, but it also developed this respect that we could both see each other hungry and passionate about doing business stuff, even if we weren't doing it together at that time.
Yeah, never gets old. Thanks for sharing. I think for me, the first time I actually said, let me start something, was at high school. My dad had sat me down and said, I was head boy at school, and so I said, what's the impact that like you've given? Like when you leave school, what are you going to be known for? I didn't have an answer. And my dad has this insane knack of creating this spark in me, and it's a lovely thing, because he pushes me in a very endearing way, and that stuck with me. And I was like, you know what? Like what do I actually have to show? And I said, you know what? I'm gonna do something about it. So in the 12th grade, just before I graduated properly school, I set up my first high school TEDx event, and that was like the first time I'd been working in teams and all of that before, but like this was the first time I had started an initiative. We pitched it to school. School approved it, and then everything from getting a TED approval to the venues to the whatever. That happened. I think happened in October 20. God knows when. October, I think 4-5 years back. Ironically, Warwick invites me October 2020 or 2023 to give my first TED talk. So it came around in full circles. But that was the first time I actually said, you know what, like I'm going to do something, and then galvanized a group of people, and then pitched it. And then it's not easy convincing a school to lend you money. It's not easy to sort of pitch this vision. Anyways, that happened. And then I was like, you know what, I actually really like this. I like leading. I like bringing people together. I like just going and chasing after a vision. I just like the thrill of doing that. And so obviously nothing really happened. I then took a gap year, which changed my life. We can talk about that sometime. But that gap year then led to me going to Warwick. And between the time I went to Warwick and between the time I was in my gap year, I said, I'm going to try a bunch of different things. So I tried doing this social media agency, got a first client and got fired very quickly. I had no idea what I was doing. And so I was figuring it out along the way. I think they figured it out and they got a bit annoyed. I didn't get paid for it. They said I would get some money, but I didn't. But I said, you know what, I'm not going to stop. And so I said, what else can I do? So then I started doing stuff like creating these like cards for people, like these greeting cards. Got very bored very quickly, so I left that one. And then I went to Warwick, and Connect Us was born. So Connect Us was this startup that's now under Warwick's sort of Enactus wing. So I've exited that startup. But what we did was I found myself like sobbing one day at uni, because Warwick, I think we share a bit of a different experience of Warwick, because Warwick, for all the great stuff that it does, it's also a university town. And I come from Mumbai, which is like a town where it's just buzzing all the time. And so when you move to the countryside, it's great for a week, and then it hits.
Yeah.
And so then there's a lot of loneliness that comes with it. And I just didn't feel like I was fitting in. I was like, where are my people? And you grew up in a collectivistic culture like India, you want to be surrounded by people. I like that. And I didn't have that. So I said, you know what, I'm crying about it. There's a Warwick incubator. They had this thing where they incubate startups. I said, you know what? Let me solve this problem. I didn't know how to write a single line of code back then. I didn't know anything. I said, I just want to solve this problem. And so we took the first step. I found a CTO. I found a team. I think we were a team of 11 or 12 people. And what we did was we basically built a psychology-backed algorithm that would connect people together and find events on campus. But the premise was that you would have a group of 3 to 4 people that you would go to. And then that scaled decently well. We got about 500 plus people got matched. They found their friends. I think at one point there was a dating event that used our algorithm, all of that. And so that was like the first time that I said, wow, like you can actually build something and people can actually get impacted from it. And there's potentially a way to actually make money. So an idea that sits in your head can actually come out and impact people. And then, of course, the human entrepreneur. I think Connect Us was one of the first few times where we actually met as well, one of the events that I was hosting. And then, that led to the human entrepreneur, and then Let's Step Up.
I never knew you could bake cake.
I don't like to tell people, really.
I wish you
disclosed
that fact in the debrief.
Yeah, I purposely didn't because
you wouldn't be allowed to come here without the cake then.
Exactly.
I'm going to hold that grudge against you for the rest of my life.
Have to be on season 2.
But moving on. Yeah, but I mean, it's also really interesting because, the question I was going to lead into really would be like purpose. I think, in my opinion, purpose is important. And we've had this conversation. Purpose could be, just to generate wealth, generation wealth, if that is the case. But it's also nice to hear, the few of the things that you embarked on and how it was giving back to society and how it can help support individuals and so on. You spoke about loneliness. I think loneliness, when you look at mental health, loneliness is one of the biggest factors today, not only between students, but I mean, across the board, every generation. I mean, there's like a loneliness epidemic, which is causing a lot of mental health issues and concerns, especially in I think, different communities. Obviously, now when you look at the Indian community, very family oriented, perhaps a lot of them even till date, live in a joint family. But when you look at the Western world, obviously things are a lot different. So again, there's a lot of impact, that you're having on people, and a lot of students in the UK are international students as well. So you're again that much more disconnected from your parents and your entire surrounding. So what do you think, the purpose holds? What sort of value do you think, or importance do you think purpose holds in building a business?
I think at the offset, like, I don't necessarily think that you need to have your entire purpose defined before you build something. Purpose is formed through action. And I think that's something that I've learned over time. Going through and exploring your curiosity, maybe in and of itself, is a purpose. It could be money. It could be making the world a better place. But I feel like this whole idea of like passion, purpose, like this comes through doing. And so if you've not done enough, you can't really sit there and say, this is my purpose and this is my passion. And so I think the first step in actually finding passion, finding purpose, is actually just doing the thing. And that could be as simply as saying, I'm going to start a dry cleaning business. And it could be as impactful or not as impactful, however you want to see it, as starting a technology company. Purpose is, I think, comes through the doing rather than the other way around. And I think that's my take on.
Yeah, it's interesting. I was when we were just starting Let's Level Up, I was doing some journaling at the time. I've sort of lost that habit now, but it was interesting flicking through my journal the other week because I was reflecting, like, I'm not passionate about the industry that we're going in. I don't have like this deep passion or this deep sense of purpose. But now when I reflect on it 3 years or 4 years later, I'm really fired up, and we found so many problems, and we've become like skilled, and we've brought together a team of really skilled people that I'm really passionate about the problems that we're solving. And yes, we were solving problems that we face, but at the same time, I feel that passion, that drive, that energy that we've got has developed and it has nurtured over time. And I think I find it quite problematic, this whole like rhetoric of follow your passion, because for many of us, and for myself at least, we don't know what that is. And if you spend your time just worrying about that, then you might never find it. Whereas I found that, yeah, my passion has come through taking action, becoming better at something, and then becoming proud of that, what you're doing and the impact that you're creating in that area. So yeah, I think there needs to be some sort of shift in the advice around passion and purpose.
Just got me thinking, it's a lot like people say, find your passion and then go after it and build something. And I think we're almost saying, and I think we're living examples of this, is like, go build something and then find your passion, because you'll at least know what you don't like doing. So my entire gap year was things that I did not necessarily like doing, but I'm so glad I went through that process, because I was like, I didn't like this, I didn't like this, I didn't like this. And it's great because I condensed all the things I didn't like into that 1 year to then find the thing that I did like. And if I had not done that gap year, I would have probably been studying economics, and we would probably never have, we probably wouldn't even have this podcast, and I wouldn't even be talking to you. But I went through that to realize that, like, it's not, I didn't like, I was good at economics, but that doesn't necessarily mean that I wanted to study it. And it's a lot to do with, I think that can be extrapolated into a lot of different things.
I can resonate with that. Fun fact, I actually owned a dry cleaning business, and that was not my passion. The reason I started that business was because I had a marketing agency which focused on eco-friendly modes or platforms of advertising, and one of the products was an eco-friendly hanger. So we were supplying these hangers, which then became like a product placement space, but they were made of cardboard, not your wires, so that became a product placement. And I was supplying these hangers to laundries and dry cleaners. And then off the back of that, I'm like, oh shit, this could be a good business. And obviously one of my motivators was to make money.
Yeah.
We spoke about it last time as well. I come from humble beginnings, didn't have money growing up, and I'm like, oh shit, I need to do whatever it takes to make a lot of money. So yeah, I completely agree with you. And when I first started, we've rebranded. We now called Plum. We were Heating Clouds, you guys know.
Yeah.
Passion, when I first started, was completely different from what it is today, or even the purpose. And I think that's also beautiful, because that's also, when we first started off, entrepreneurship also changes you as a person. And it's also good to be in tune with that and keep that fluid. And, every single day you fail and you learn from those failures, and then you keep on iterating, and then, yeah.
Yeah. No, I think it is fluid. And at the start of it, I can't lie, like I used to get a bit of a bit of an ego trip when I was like, we were at university and we'd be like, oh yeah, I'm running this business, doing da. And I don't get a high off that anymore. Like, I feel it was a motivator at the time, but as we've developed, and I guess we've seen the uglier sides of running a business, that it's not all sunshine and rainbows, that motivators definitely can change over time.
And it has to. I think it's, for an entrepreneur, I think it's like a survival mechanism as well. If it doesn't, if you're not fluid, if you're not able to go with the flow, like, you will die.
Yeah.
Because I don't think any university can prepare you for the shit that's going to be thrown at your face and everything else every single day.
Yeah.
Talking about hardships and how the world and social media specifically romanticizes the whole startup. Everybody wants to be a founder, co-founder, CEO. Everybody wants to be in the startup world. Yeah. So talk me through that. Beautiful journey.
You go.
Where do we start?
Where do we begin? Honestly, I don't know. It's it's hard for me. It's really hard for me because I struggle with OCD, this is probably the first time I'm saying this publicly. OCD is a mental health challenge where there's the O and the C, which is the obsessions and the compulsions. And obsessions are basically ruminating thoughts. And usually when you have a worry spiral, you'll worry about something for a fairly finite amount of time, and then it'll be done. When you have OCD, the compulsions, the obsessions are perpetual, and so you're constantly worrying again and again and again about same things. And when that exacerbates because you're a startup founder, every day is a problem, and it's not just one problem; it's 5 different things that there are fires burning in 5 to 10 different places. And by the very nature of the job, you can just imagine the spirals or the loops that keep coming. The C, the OC, the C is compulsions, which is fairly manageable through a lot of therapy and stuff like that, which I've gone through, which are basically things like checking or turning the lights on and off. But the O part of it, which is the obsession, the rumination, that takes a huge toll on me. And I think a lot of the hardships come from an inner battle that I fight every day. And it becomes lonelier over time because as the company grows, you realize that there's not that many people that you can speak to about this. For the longest time, I never disclosed this to one of my lead investors. And when I did, of course, the reception was much better than I anticipated. But these are things that you can't speak about so openly. And I feel like a bit of a hypocrite saying this because I'm always championing people to speak about it. But then when you're in that position of leadership, what if I say this and people view me differently?
Yeah.
And that I think is the hardest challenge for me. I mean, we can go into the nitty-gritties of like all the other things, but on any given day, you're going to have so many different problems, from sales to fundraising, products not working, this is not happening, that's not working. And when you have a challenge like this, and of course, therapy has been a huge helper and all of that, but when you have a challenge like this and there's a constant rumination that takes place, it's very draining. And sometimes you look up and you're like, is there ever going to be an end to this? And that's debilitating, that's overwhelming. And you obviously find mechanisms to cope with it. But I think that is my biggest challenge running a company.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely a challenge that you've had to work very hard on. And I guess I've seen the effects that it's had on you and I guess our relationship and in positive and negative ways over this time. And I think it's been a learning experience for both of us in trying to manage that. But at the same time, I guess there's positives and negatives to it. But because of that rumination, that drive, and that constant worry, I guess, to want to grow the company is somewhat what's led to some of our success. So it's interesting how that's led to that. But yeah, I mean, there's been many ups and downs in the process. I would say that Varun's more of the warrior and I'm more of like the optimist in like our co-founder relationship. Like I feel that when problems and things come up, I can be pretty calm and just trying to solve them and trying to tackle them. But that's not something that I've had, like it's something that I've definitely developed over time. And I think actually learning to take a step back in situations has been really, really powerful, and realizing, I think it does get easier because you realize that when you're in the same situation, like the platform's just gone down, or a customer's just left me a nasty email or whatever, you get through that, and you learn that actually there is going to be another day. There's going to be another sunrise, and you're going to get over those problems. And I think that is something that we've really learned to work on. I think both of us have, but it's not easy. I think that's one of the hardest things about being an entrepreneur. Like, an entrepreneur is often doing the tasks that no one wants to do, especially in those early days. And you've got to be willing to to sort of suck it up and face the consequences of that.
I think your threshold for pain just increases because it's so painful. Every day is so hard. It's so painful. You don't know what's going to come. And your threshold for pain, uncertainty, just challenge is just significantly higher. So even though I have OCD, there's a constant worry, there's constant sort of this anxiety, you just get better at handling it. So it's never going to go away. You just get a little smarter, a little better at coping with it every day. And that 1% change over time compounds.
And I think that's what makes a business so rewarding, and why if it was easy, then everyone would do it, and there wouldn't be so much fulfillment that I would get from it. That I was telling Varun when we were having a conversation, like I remember me and some friends used to like hack computer games when we were younger, and it would mean like we would complete the game in like one day, and then we'd just move on to the next one. And then if we didn't do that, then we'd be playing it for like months and months, and we'd continue to enjoy it. And it's the same like in entrepreneurship. Like if we could just like build the company and exit it, have our IPO in 6 months, then like great, you'd be very rich, but actually the fulfillment that you get from it, I don't think would be so good, and you certainly wouldn't develop as much as we have through this process. And I think it's that self-development and that constant striving to be better that helps us.
But we also all have a choice, right? So I mean, why go through, I know you've kind of touched on this slightly now, but why go through all that constant pressure? And I know you speak about fulfillment, but I mean, we also spoke about you could be fulfilled in anything that you do. You could be. So why choose this path?
The pain of not doing it is far greater than the cost of doing it in the first place.
Mic drop. He's rehearsed this answer before coming here, but I love that.
It's what is the alternative of not doing this? Like, what would you rather do with your life? You've got the opportunity, you've got the people, you've got the capital, you've got something going. What is the alternative? And if you just put it into that perspective, there is no choice. You just have to do it. And I remember this very vividly. We were going through some very, very horrible days, early stage, just before we had closed our round. It was the fundraising winter, as they call it. I think it was last year or last year. I don't remember.
Yeah.
Every day you wake up to rejections, like, sorry, not a good fit, whatever. I just looked at Luke and I was like, dude, we have to make it. There's no choice. And that was it. I think, what alternative is there?
Yeah. No, I can't see any other way, personally. But also there are incentives for doing it. Like, there's potential to make a lot of money and create generational wealth, and be able to support our family for many, many years. So I'm not going to lie and say that that's not also an incentive for building the business and growing it, especially at the rate that we want to do it, because I'm sure there might be slower or easier ways to build the business, but we're trying to build it in a way that we can grow as quickly as we can and try and get as many customers as possible, and that does have advantages and disadvantages in the process. So
but majority of the startups do fail. Majority of the people in the space do not make money. On the contrary, if you look at the stats, I mean, you guys didn't take a salary for God knows how long. And you're obviously not taking the highest salary an individual can take in the country. So that's also going to go on for a while.
I mean, a lot of our...
And the likelihood of this being a success and you creating generational wealth is minuscule. Especially at this stage. Right?
Most startups fail because they don't focus on sales. And this is something that we've really learned over the last like eight or 12 months. Like they're just so focused on building the product and that side of things. They're not even worried or fixed about where's that next customer coming from. And I think that's the shift that we've had. Like we spent like years trying to like code the best platform and build the best stuff. Actually, what we needed to do was just figure out like how can we build like a sales machine? Because if you can do that, then you can build a great customer base, you can get lots of feedback, you can get more investor money, and you can invest that in the product. And I think that's genuinely why so many businesses fail and why we've been close to failing in the past, to be honest, is not focusing enough on sales. So that's always my advice to any founder.
I think, that's one part of it. But the other part is also probably people stop. People have life-changing events that probably require them to have a stable job, and that's their choice, and that's okay.
Yeah. And I think it touches on a point of persistency. Like, we're fucking stubborn people. Like, it's going to be hard to someone to really stop us. Like, I think that's one of the biggest traits of being an entrepreneur. And you're also a testament to this as well, Asim. Like, you've run different businesses. Some have gone better than others, but we're all all three of us are sat here still building businesses. And I think it's that stubborn optimism that I think is a really powerful trait that one can have, and I think can really project you going forward. If you can get through the difficult times, and also the good times, and keep going.
I mean, you said it yourself, right? I said, Varun, thanks for not taking no for an answer.
Yeah.
I think that's just, it's so hard for me to hear the word no. And I'm not saying this is like, I'm not glamorizing this. This has caused a lot of problems in my life. But I wouldn't change that. Like, this is the fundamental thing that I have inculcated, which is, I think, got us a lot of, even you, I mean, it's hard to say no to us.
I mean, maybe it's not hard to say no to you. The problem is you not taking no for an answer.
Yeah.
I can obviously resonate with that as well. I remember, so I was a part of the NatWest Accelerator.
Yeah.
You guys
The office, I still remember it.
And I was asked at that time, so did you know how difficult this journey would be? I was like, shit, I had no idea. If I knew, I would have probably never started. But I'm also so glad and grateful that I didn't know, because I would absolutely not change anything. Yeah. And I think, that whole cost of not doing it. So I was in Dubai, I was in the property sector for a very long time, lost all the money, then started this business, didn't know a thing, didn't know anybody in the UK as well, moved here, and everybody thought I was mad, including my family. Like, what's wrong with you, man? Like, now you're back up again, you know the property sector, you know the space, you can make a lot of money and you can just continue. So it was this whole journey was stressing me a lot. Like, it was a lot of stress and anxiety. But then every time I thought about not doing this, I just had even more anxiety. I was like, oh shit, like that was like, oh my God, like how can I be on my deathbed and knowing that, oh shit, what if I started? What if I moved to the UK? What if I would have been able to do something different? I don't know if you guys...
This reminds me of, I think this was what, I think Jeff Bezos coined this term, or whoever it was. It's called regret minimization framework. It's like, what do I, like, I want to basically, and I believe in this wholeheartedly, is like, I want to live my life having the fewest regrets possible. And so the cost of me failing, is that really as much as the cost of me sitting on my deathbed looking back and saying, oh, I wish I'd done that. I'd rather go, I did that, I failed, I learned, and it sucked and it was hard and I cried and couldn't get out of bed for a week. I'd much rather go through that than go through the regret of not even doing it in the first place, because I would hate to sit with that what if.
Yeah. And I mean, talking about deathbed, I was not planning to get into this, but, I don't know if you guys know, but I've had suicidal thoughts. So 2016 was horrible for me. And I was standing in a balcony looking off the ledge thinking, okay, I'm just going to jump. The reason I didn't jump the first night was simply because I was too scared. I'm scared of heights. So I was like, oh shit. Like, and then I started planning or picturing the entire jump, the entire fall. Or, will I die mid-air? Will I hit another balcony? How will I land face first, body? Will my brains come out? So all that, like that just scared me. And I was just too scared. I'm like, oh my God, I can't do it. Next day, again, I'm standing and I'm like, oh my God, this is just... And then I started playing that movie. That movie became even more vivid every single time. And I just couldn't do it. I was just too scared. So, but I also feel, you spoke about being optimistic within the space. And I think that naive optimism for me, at least, comes from being so close to my death somehow. And now it's just like, okay, what's the max that's going to happen? I'm going to die. Okay, we're all going to die. So I think not doing it then causes me that much more pain versus doing it.
That's damn. Thanks for sharing that. I was not going to share this, but I might as well now do it. I've had a very similar story to you. I was very close to taking my own life. Much like you, I was standing on a balcony. I was looking down, and ironically, it was night, and it was raining quite heavily. And I think this was during COVID time. And I sat there and I was contemplating, and I was like, I'm gonna do it. And then something very interesting happened. I was, I love to ask questions. So I said, you know what? One more question. I said, what if I just procrastinate this one more day? Inevitably, if you're going to kill yourself, you can kill yourself, right? So might as well do it tomorrow. And I used the same logic, and I said, might as well do it the next day. And I then realized, like, if the eventuality is death, then everything else is just transient stuff that will happen. So if the choice for me is to take my own life, then every day that I am living, I'm also choosing not to die. And that gives you a sense of, much like you, it's like, what do you have to lose? We're all going to die anyway. So whatever existential threat you have, maybe you just use that to your advantage and say, I'll live to fight just another day.
I mean, it's amazing how COVID obviously has, changed the narrative, or brought in a lot of awareness when it comes to mental health, and it's accelerated that whole conversation around mental health. Even today, there's a lot of stigma, but if we've known each other for a couple of years now, and it's interesting that we've never called each other or spoken about this, and now we're speaking it live on air. But it's also quite sad to think that we think we've come that much more forward in mental health, but we're also still that much backward. I would think we're the young generation and we're okay to talk about whatever, but then you could have taken that jump and I could have done the same. And sadly, a lot of people do go through that. It's really sad to see that the suicide rates are only going up every single year. Also, I think what's quite sad is there's a lot more talk and less action, even in this day and age. So, especially considering us being in the leadership position, I think that's also a responsibility for us to continuously having these conversations and at least imparting this type of thought process within our teams, within the people around us, people that we can impact. Because, taking that first step obviously is the hardest step. But as soon as you take that first step, you'd be pleasantly surprised that there's so much support system. It's not just Plum or friends, family, whoever, therapists, experts. There's just too much support out there. But taking that first step is super.
It's so important. So important.
Talking about, I don't know if you guys have heard about this term called anti-fragility. Yeah,
Asim Talib.
I think it's so. I got introduced to this term just a couple of months ago, and I think it's bloody brilliant. So you obviously know what it is.
I don't know the entirety of it. So maybe just.
So I have it here. So we always talk about resilience. How resilient you've become. What doesn't kill you makes you stronger. And then bam, you guys just spoke about it now. All the shit that you've gone through, but now your pain threshold has increased. So it's beyond just being resilient, embracing uncertainty, risk, failure, and discomfort in the favor of growth. So you deliberately go through it because you know the impact it will have on your growth. Growing stronger through actively putting ourselves through challenging and stressful situations. So you do it from a strategic point of view.
This is like David Goggins, basically.
Yeah. And I think it's really brilliant.
Putting you through that. Yeah.
Like, I mean, I strongly believe, I don't know if you guys share this sentiment, but any great outcome has to be hard. If it's easy, it's not going to be great. And I don't want to do it. I just don't want to. Because my time is limited. We all have 24 hours in a day. It's what you do. It's what you choose to do within those 24 hours changes everything. So I choose to do only hard things within those 24 hours because I want greatness.
I mean, yeah, I think Varun, you are a testament to that. You're always trying to choose that hard pathway. But I think that's part of the company that we're trying to build. Is we're not always trying to choose the easiest pathway for us or for where we want to get to, but then when you look back on it and you see what you've been able to overcome, it feels great.
Also, talking about hard, I mean, I think, I had an interesting conversation with our CTO a couple of months ago, and something down the lines of, he's like, oh yeah, but, he was talking about himself, and then he spoke about me. He's like, yeah, no, but in our position, like, it's so difficult because we've got so much more responsibilities than our team members, and it's just so hard, but it's because we were talking about few people, and I was kind of having a debate with him. So I was like, yeah, but I also know, like, I disagree. I've been in that non-power position. I've worked in an organization and I've had managers, and it was hard. It was hard being an employee of that organization because my team members are looking at me, my manager's looking at me. I also want to earn that salary. I also want that promotion. It's hard. I think we all have our hearts. It's just, you should have to choose your heart.
Yeah.
I choose my heart. I choose to be in this position.
Yeah.
Because, like, there's a lot of benefits from being in our position as well. We should not take that away from it as well. Like, yeah, there's, the wealth aspect. If that happens, okay, fine. But even day to day, today, there's a lot of advantages that comes with our position. So I deliberately choose my heart to be in this position. I don't want to be anybody but this person.
Yeah. No, I like that quote. I don't know who it's from, but it's like, hard decisions, easy life, easy decisions, hard life. And I think, like, when you're a founder, at least in our context, like, if you always choose that easiest pathway of never having that difficult conversation, like with an employee, you're going to grow in that situation. But also, if you ignore those conversations or you continuously put them off, then the problems just keep coming back. And I think that's something that we've learned over time, is like, when you find these issues, just having that difficult conversation early on rather than just putting it off, because otherwise it can really hurt you over time.
Talking about growth and learning, let's touch on Let's Level Up. What are you guys doing? How does it help people? Are you in the learning and development space?
Yeah. So I want to start with giving you some context on what the world actually looks like today. Universities aren't necessarily able to keep up with that level of change in terms of what the industry actually needs. University education is, for those that can have it, it's amazing. It's a privilege. But for many of the people that can't have it, it's long, and a lot of people graduate in debt. What people are realizing is there's a faster, easier way to skill up in any skill that you want. And equally at the same time, we're seeing this huge boom in creators, coaches, consultants, which are basically people in industry, people that have the knowledge, that want to set up their entire sort of learning and coaching business. That learning and coaching business is what we call in our world as knowledge commerce, the ability to set up a course or coaching program and sell it to your audience, to your community. These tailwinds were not there a couple of years ago, but a lot of the people are now becoming aware of skilling up really quickly. And the fastest way to do that is actually go to someone who can teach you that skill. But the tooling solutions out there for a coach, a consultant, they're very bare. You have to use too many tools to actually, get a sustainable business running. And so what Let's Level Up does is it's basically doing what Shopify did for e-commerce, but for knowledge commerce. And so what we do is we're basically building the entire infrastructure to allow any coach, consultant, expert, anybody that wants to build a knowledge-based business to do it very effortlessly. And we grow with you. Right from conception to scaling, we're there at each step. And the thing that we're doing is we're basically building AI that will take you and be your coach, but also execute on your behalf. So think of this as a person you can actually talk to on a daily basis that will give you the coaching insights from thousands and tens of thousands of data points that we own, that will basically take you through each step of the way of building a coaching business and will then execute on your behalf. And so it's an end-to-end co-pilot that will basically allow you to build, grow, and sustain your business. And that's what Let's Level Up is in a nutshell.
Love that.
Anything you want to add?
Luke, you want to add?
No, I think the problem really started because we were doing the podcast and we started, people were asking us like, how do you start a podcast? How do you market it? How do you create it? And so we started our own podcasting course, and that was the first thing we ever taught. We didn't really have this like whole grand vision as Varun was saying just then. That's certainly evolved over time. We were just
we can tell he's a salesperson.
We were just some dummies creating a podcast course. But we really enjoyed that process, and we really we loved creating the course and marketing it. And then we started getting in touch with other people, like some leadership experts and design experts who are great at what they did, but they didn't know how to sell their knowledge. They didn't know how to create a website and sell out their course and do ads and do social media marketing. So we said, like, look, we can help you. We've done it for ourselves. And then we started building a collection of different people. And now we've got over 350 people selling their programs, selling their courses, using our platform, doing so. So yeah, it really did come from a personal problem that we faced. We realized the shortcomings in the technology that we used to solve for ourselves. We then did it on a very like manual level, and now we're like starting to build that tech to replace that.
Yeah.
And you guys have raised funds. You guys are growing a team.
Yeah.
Amazing. Great job, guys. You guys are Gen Zs. There's a lot of talk around Gen Zs and now even Gen X.
Yeah.
You guys are gonna be old news very soon. So Gen X entering the workforce in the next couple of years. So I've heard a lot about there's a lot of polarization around, people in their 20s, you have all the time in your world, don't stress and take it easy, like you're still so young.
Yeah.
And then versus, I don't know what you guys feel, but I'm thinking like since the time I've met you guys are just bam, 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 just on it. So where's your chill, take it easy moment? And honestly, like what would you do? Because a lot of people obviously within your generation and your age group also aspire to become entrepreneurs.
Yeah.
And I think maybe I could be wrong, but maybe a lot more people in your generation versus people a little bit older, because, the risk appetite obviously reduces. You've got a house, family, kids, and whatever.
Yeah.
So, but yeah,
and
you guys have enough time or?
Yeah, I think there's lots of different things there. I think a lot of people our age do aspire to do it because the opportunities are there. We've got this incredible technology, we've got the internet, we got AI as well now, which I think significantly reduces the barriers. So the barriers to starting a business keep going down and down. But yeah, I think for running a business, you've got to be willing to make sacrifices. And that is something we've made sacrifices in our personal life, especially like in the first couple of years, as we've been going through this, like working many hours that might not be healthy or natural or normal compared to other people, but I wouldn't want it any other way. And I think we're both very driven people that, I mean, I think when, I can't speak for what we'll be like when we're older, but at the moment we've got lots of energy that we can put that time and that effort, and we have an incredible opportunity. We don't have a mortgage, we don't have kids, and we have an opportunity where we can take more risks than at other times in our life, and that's really exciting. And I think when you've got that opportunity, it does allow you to definitely have a larger risk appetite than maybe if you're a bit older. I think there is a case that when you're older, you have more skills, so it'll be easier maybe, and that might be right. But I think there's definitely a big opportunity, and I think there's so many people that are our age that sort of always dreaming whenever I talk to them about this and never take action. And that's okay. If that's how they want to live, that's fine for them. But I think it's, yeah, I couldn't live like that, of never taking action. I think that's one of the reasons why we've got to where we are, is we're very like action driven rather than just living in the dreams. But yeah, I think for a lot of people it's not for everyone. And I think that's one of the dangers of the glamorization of running a business, is it's okay to not want to start a business. And I think that's something that needs to be probably people to talk more about. It's okay to have a 9-to-5. It's okay to have a job, because it's not for everyone. So I think it's also important to recognize both sides of that.
So you see how he was so optimistic? Now you see my side. I think I'm perpetually running out of time. And you'll be like, Varun, what are you talking about? You're in your 20s. I'm like, yeah, I'm in my 20s. I think that's where, I don't know. I constantly feel like I'm against time. I'm not doing enough. I'm not enough. And that's something that I'm obviously trying to figure out where it comes from and all of that. But equally, it's probably pushing me as well, in a way where it's like, okay, I'm not enough. Can I do more? Can I do more? I don't necessarily think it's healthy, and I don't think people should, try and emulate this. But it also has some positive effects, which is my constant drive to keep achieving, to keep improving, to keep growing. But when I hear things like, you have a lot of time, no, you don't. What if you get hit by a bus tomorrow? Then what? What if you get, I don't know, life happens and you're probably in the hospital and you were like, oh my God, I wish I'd done this. Then what? I don't think you have enough time. I think life is very unpredictable, and if you have to do something, then do it. And I always say, like, done is better than perfect. I'd much rather you just do the thing and fail than think about doing it.
Yeah. I agree, and I resonate with that as well. I honestly feel I'm 10 years too late doing what I'm doing today. I'm like, oh shit, I wish I started earlier. But I also did start at 17. So I'm thinking, shit, how much earlier could I have started? But yeah, I mean, you see kids like on Instagram, and I say kids, but like you see 13-year-olds, 12-year-olds, doing stuff. And what was I doing at 12? No, because your barrier to entry, there's a few things. One, your barrier to entry has reduced. The second thing is also the world has changed dramatically. When I was 17, I had nothing. Like we were playing games. So my first business was games. I like to say online games.
The game cafe.
But it wasn't online. We were playing on LAN, like with local area network. So the computer just connected with each other. And then it went online. So obviously the world has, but that also means that you have that much more competition because the barrier to entry has reduced so much. And now with AI, we're not sitting in the technological revolution anymore. We're in the AI revolution already.
Yeah.
So things are just going to exponentially grow, and that competition is only going to exponentially increase in every generation, in every age group.
Yeah.
But I also feel, it was not only from a entrepreneurship perspective. I think it's just people in general, regardless of even if you're founding a company or not. I just think, working hard versus working smart. I think that's one of the aspects as well. People, don't work hard, just work smart. Yeah, you have to start working hard, then you get smart, and then and then you work hard again, and then you get smarter again. You can't just work smart. Like, what are you talking about? I don't understand that concept.
So this is what gets me, right? So,
I'm smart today because I work my ass off. But I'm only smart to that level. But like this podcast today, I have no clue what the hell I'm doing on this couch sitting in front of you guys. I will in the next couple of months, hopefully.
Yeah.
But today I don't. I just have to work that much bloody harder.
No, I completely agree with you. Like the people that say work smart, right, are the ones that are like, that have already like quote unquote made it, and they're retrospectively going back to say, okay, you need to work smart. They got to the point where they even came to that conclusion because they worked hard. And I love this concept of ignorance debt. You don't know enough, so you have to pay off that debt as fast as possible. How do you do that? By working hard. Like there's no other, there's no choice.
No.
And so once you get to the point where you've paid off that ignorance debt, then it kind of becomes boring. Then it becomes, okay, I know what I need to do. I know what I need to expect. And then you start working smart. But working smart does not come before working hard. It's the other way around.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's one of these things and I think it's something that we're always developing. But I always had the mindset, at least for the first couple of years, of all I've got to do is just work. I sacrifice sleep and exercise and things like that. But I do wonder in retrospect if I had prioritized those other activities, where we would be right now, and if it was the right decision or if it was the wrong decision to prioritize those sort of things. Because you do have to work really hard, and I think when you're starting a company, there's no way around that. And yeah, I do find it funny when people are saying like, "Oh, you can start a business in 3 hours a day or whatever," and you're on the beach for the rest of the day. Like, I'm sure it is possible to run those sort of businesses, like more of a lifestyle business, and I'm sure there are people that are able to do that. But even if they've got to that level, they've probably worked their ass off for a year or two in order to get there and really learn that skill and nail it.
100%.
Yeah. I think from that perspective, again, just my personal opinion, I think solopreneurship is also being romanticized quite a lot lately as well. And again, I have my reasoning behind that.
Go on. Honestly,
I mean, obviously, there's a that is a business model, So obviously, you have to show, the likes of you work 1 hour a day or 3 hours a day, and I'm making so many millions, and it's just I don't know where to put this money because now that's hard. I don't know where to float this money, and I just have so much time in my life that I can do everything else but work. Yeah, so I think that is a business model, and definitely some people who do that, some people who reach that have put in a lot of hard work. There's a lot of systems in place. Obviously, you have a team around you and so on. But now talking about the barrier to entry, there's a lot of competition within that space as well. It's anything but easy, and that loneliness aspect that you spoke about. I mean, us having companies, we feel lonely. Being a solopreneur, I mean, that's just lonely.
I mean, I told him the other day, is like, I almost feel privileged now that we can like go into an office.
Yeah.
I think it almost feels like I'm like grateful, because for the last 3 years I've been in my bedroom, and for the first time we are kind of regularly going into a space where I can see other people.
Congratulations.
No, but it's good to celebrate those small wins. I think
Sure.
it's saying that it's like a big move for us, and it's like those small steps of like building the company, step by step. Like, I've been sleeping on Varun's sofa for a year and a half in order to get here. So yeah, we're making
And
this
I've
big
been
step.
tolerating you.
Yeah.
He's just being too kind now.
Yeah.
Being too kind. I was actually having a chat with the team before I came here. So Friday, I was reminiscing, or it was very nostalgic for me traveling to Cambridge because we opened our second office in Cambridge.
Congratulations.
Thank you, sir. And yeah, I mean, I've been working, building from first my mom's house, then my house, from my bedroom / living room / kitchen / everything in that one place. Yeah, for us to, so it started off in this co-working space. You guys came to that co-working space as well. Started from hot desking, and then renting out the meeting rooms. Every now and again, we could bring the teams together, to then having an office there. Now we're expanding that office and now getting a second office as well in Cambridge. Yeah, I think it does. I mean, it's nice to celebrate that, but also, how, reminding yourself how important that journey is versus that destination. And I've started to wholeheartedly feel, I think our destination, again, being a little bit morbid, is our death.
Yeah.
That's it. That is your ultimate destination. And everything between that is your journey. I mean, embracing and enjoying that journey is so important.
I'd never thought about that.
Same.
It's a really good point, actually, because you're always going to be chasing something. At least I feel we always will be, because it's sort of just in our nature, that we're always chasing that next thing. That destination is constantly evolving, and it is that journey that we value the most.
I struggle with that, to be able to just enjoy the journey. I want that game hack. I want, when you said it, I kind of get your point, but like, I want that destination.
But I think
it's hard to hold that perspective sometimes.
I think that's also beautiful between the two of you. So I also have a co-founder, as you guys know. We spoke about solopreneurs, and I think the one advice I would give to someone who's starting a business, like, find a co-founder.
Oh, 100%.
I mean, it's just so now that is a life hack.
Yeah.
That is not just a hack for your business. That's a life hack. That'll and if you have to get lucky with that as well. I mean, it's, again, easier said than done, but really having a co-founder by your side, that just changes everything.
I think we can both say that we've had past, I think you also have had past co-founder traumas. So yeah, choose wisely.
Yeah.
It's like choosing your wife, right? Like you want to do it. Like, I almost feel like finding a co-founder is if not more, equally important than finding your life partner.
Yeah.
Well, I spend a lot more time with you, unfortunately.
Yeah. Yeah. Honestly. Yeah, that's one decision you really don't want to fuck up.
But you probably will do.
Yeah.
And I think that's part of the process. Like, when we were doing other businesses and we were working with people that actually we realized we didn't get on well with, like, it felt like absolute hell, like having lots of conversations and trying to work things out and feel like you're treading on eggshells. Like, when I was with the people's backpack, we had some issues and stuff, but that was also part of the process of getting here, and you learn from that and you get stronger. But it's always difficult when there's people and there's emotions and there's experiences that you've shared together. And I think finding co-founder is definitely advice that I give every entrepreneur out there, but finding the right one is always going to be tough. So you got to be prepared for that.
Yeah.
When you find that one person, be grateful for it every day.
Yeah. And I've said this to you many times. Be grateful to Luke.
Yeah.
Like, now. Thank him now.
Thank you, Luke. I appreciate it. I'll come over and give you a hug if I could.
Yeah, but I think, talking about life hack, I really feel that life is definitely rigged in your favor. I think it's just a few things. Mindset, hard work, consistency. If you apply that, this game of life is pretty easy. And I think human beings just overcomplicated. Definitely you have to get lucky. I also believe somehow in some aspect you also make your own luck. when you do something with the right intent, you do attract the right circumstances and the right people. It might not happen tomorrow. It might take a week, a month, a year, 10 years, a lot of failures, but then you do get your Luke and you do get your Varun.
Yeah, I think you do. There's obviously always privilege involved. And I think we do have privileges in our lives that I was able to sleep on a sofa for a year and a bit, and I've been able to live at home at times as well. But at the same time, we've worked really hard and we have created that luck. And if you have, like you said, the mindset to keep going, then you're just going to get lucky and luckier over time.
I think luck is an interesting thing as well, right? Like you want to spread your surface area as wide as possible so that the chances of you getting lucky then are more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a lot like a sales pipeline.
Correct.
You want to increase your top of funnel.
Wider net. Wider net. So what does success mean for Varun?
Start with Luke.
Okay, Luke.
I think success for me means building a company that is able to achieve success for our customers as well as like myself and the team. So for our customers, it's all about creating that impact. For us, it's about helping them build businesses that are incredible. They can share their knowledge with the world and we can help lead that upskilling revolution and gap that is needed. And then for myself and the team, it's about being able to provide for my family, being able to afford experiences and develop myself in a way that I'm proud of, and I can learn the skills and develop that. But also the team is able to achieve their goals. That I feel lucky and privileged that we've got an incredible team, and that we can continue to grow that and grow the impact to them as well.
Yeah, I think if I have to look at it from a company's perspective, just maximizing all that you've said, customer satisfaction, just making sure that people are really successful on our platform, like that really means a lot to us. And that means building a great product, finding the right people to work with, but then also the spillover consequences of that, right? Like being able to employ people and be responsible for them. It's a big responsibility. It's very scary. Most of the people are like probably 10 years older than us. And it's surreal, but it's also like, it sometimes hits you and it's like, oh my God, like we're responsible for 15, 20 people. It's like,
we're the youngest.
We're the youngest. We're the youngest on, I think, we are the youngest.
Yeah.
And to be able to hold your own and hold your space with that dynamic, it's not easy. But I also feel very privileged to be able to do that day in, day out, because these people have no ego. They want the best for the company. We are rowing in the same direction. And I just want to keep doing that. And I want to keep growing and building that value for the business and obviously for our shareholders. And from a personal lens, I've always said this. I love working. Like, I genuinely love working, and I want to keep doing that for the rest of my life. But success for me would mean that the only thing limiting me is my creativity. Nothing else should be limiting me. And so that is where I want to get to in life. That is my goal. And if I can get there, that's success for me.
I mean, quote unquote, on paper, you guys are definitely way more successful than a lot of people now starting out, for example. Because you guys have it's a fact. I mean, you should acknowledge that as well. You guys have done great. You guys have fundraised in the shittiest time. I think we were both kind of fundraising in a similar time, but I mean, it's a horrible downturn economy, crappy valuations, and a lot more no's than usual, and so on. And now that you've built the team, and you guys are the youngest people on the team, so there's a lot of things that you should be proud of, definitely.
Yeah.
But I think one thing that I've obviously learned from here, and for everybody listening as well, what's important is that we all celebrate success, but the actual truth is the success is a byproduct of failure. So failure is at the core of every success. So first is failure. From failure comes learning. From learning comes growth. From growth comes success. Yeah. So I think it's also about time that we flip that other way around. I obviously asked you, what does success look like?
Yeah.
But, it's really important for us to change the narrative where how does failure look like to you? Because if you don't have failure, you don't have success.
Yeah.
Because you guys have obviously gone through a lot of failures for us to now even have that conversation.
Yeah.
So we should be celebrating failures.
Yeah. Mic drop moment.
What is the future for Let's Level Up?
Yeah. We are focused a lot on growth right now. We just want to keep building our customer base and providing the best value possible. I'm super excited about the whole AI piece that we're developing. We've been able to get some really top talent into the team. Call me, whatever, stupid or naive, but I wanna get into a position where we're not constantly sort of we can self-fund this thing through our own cash flow, and that's something that really excites me. Being able to go break even or even profitable and fund these operations is something that I'm hugely excited for. And I think a lot of that I think is because of one of our key investors, now co-founder. Shout out to him for helping us inculcate that in our sort of DNA as entrepreneurs as well. Because it's very easy to go, when is the next fundraise going to happen? Instead, it's like, how do I get to cash flow positive and use that to then fund my other operations? So I think I'm very excited to look at that. Obviously, product development, like there's lots happening. We're building some really powerful technology, and it's all coming together. And growth for now is like our main focus with obviously building product.
Yeah, and like where we want to get to is like if you're let's say you're a marketing coach, for example, you're a sales coach. You can like tell Let's Level Up, like our AI tool, like exactly who you are, what you do, and then it will create your landing page. It will write your ads for you. It will write your social media. So it will build everything for you. So it's really trying to take away the sort of like manual work away from you so that you can focus on what you love doing, which is the course building and the teaching and live workshops with the people that actually you might not want to replace with AI, so that we can really keep people in their zone of genius so that they can create as much impact as possible and take them away from the things that they don't enjoy so much.
That is so important. Like, I think the world needs a lot more teachers, the world needs a lot more experts, and there's so many learners that are hungry to learn. There's so many people that want to teach, but the people that want to teach don't know how to do it. And we are not just a technology solution. We also hold your hand through the entire process. And that is our biggest moat, and we're leveraging AI to do that because now we have the data set that we're training our models on. And that's a surreal place to be. The journey is very it's an uphill climb, but we're gonna get there.
Yeah, always.
You guys are obviously really fired up. You guys got me fired up now.
So where's the check?
Where's your next? You just said you don't want to raise anymore.
No. No.
Yeah. Reflection time.
I meant like check of confidence.
Check of confidence.
I didn't mean check of money, mate.
You've got all my checks from that perspective.
Yeah.
Reflection time.
Yeah.
What would Varun, you tell the Varun standing on that balcony today?
Oof. That you're loved. This will pass, and you have no idea the abundance that's coming your way. And please hang in there. Not just for you, but for everybody else that you're going to impact.
I think I'd tell him that, yeah, you're gonna cry more, you're gonna laugh more. But yeah, everyone will be proud of who you become, what you do, how you impact them in their lives, and I personally will be grateful for that, and I always will be. And I'm grateful to the Varun at that time that he made that decision, because yeah, you've had a tremendous impact on my life in that process, and you've had a tremendous impact on many other people. So yeah, I'm glad he got through it.
Appreciate that.
That's beautiful.
Thank you.
That's beautiful. Wow.
What would you tell yourself?
Yeah, something similar, I guess. Life is beautiful. This shall pass.
Mm.
There's just so much you're able to do and impact. Again, the people around you and the many more people you're going to meet and change. Yeah, life is just too precious.
Mm.
It's just too precious.
And I guess that's the thing. It's like these like split moment decisions. It's crazy when you like look back at it, like how different things could be. Or
Nothing lasts forever. If not the good times, not even the bad. That is the truth to life.
Yeah.
On a lighter note, what would Luke tell the Luke knocking on doors, selling those cakes? Doesn't have to be light.
No, I think I'd say well done. You push yourself out your comfort zone, and you'll be grateful for what you did. You're not going to be you're going to hate making cakes, and you're going to not want to tell people the story because everyone expects you to make a cake whenever you tell them about it now. But no, well done, because it was a real learning experience for me, and
Yeah, I would also say, like, well done to you, Luke. You've come a very, very long way. Fuck, the person you were at uni to where you are today, it's insane. I've seen you grow, and I've had the privilege of seeing you grow. And I wouldn't want anyone else by my side. You've seen me through thick and thin, and hopefully I've done the same for you. And there's going to be lots more to come. But I just feel so fucking privileged every day to be able to work with you and all the other team members every day. It's one of the things that I wake up to every day and say, wow, fuck, that's my life. And hopefully that stays for a very, very long time. So I appreciate you and thank you.
thank you, man.
That's beautiful, guys.
And Asim, thank you. I don't consider you a mentor or a friend. I think I've always said this. Like, I think you're a big bro to me. Although your communication can improve, and we'll fix that eventually. But no, thank you. You've stuck by me, and you've given me your time, your mentorship, your friendship, and I do enjoy those very rare occasional dinners that we have, which we should make often. But no, thank you, man. I appreciate this, and this is a full circle moment where you go, holy shit, we've come such a long way. I genuinely appreciate this chat, and yeah, I'm here for you whenever you need.
I'm not crying, you are. No, I mean, well, I'm only human, so, I'm not perfect. I think you should get my mom's number. Next time I don't answer, you should just call her, because I have to answer her in case of emergency. She can just tell me it's an emergency. No, but I mean, I said this in our debrief call as well. I mean, I'm just so grateful that, it's very difficult to maintain relationships, especially in this day and age. Busy people, we have our priorities and, all that. But for us to still, be in this room together and to share this conversation. Yes, we did have a debrief, but I didn't know that we would go this deep, and I'm glad we did. Luke and Varun, I've seen you guys grow as well, obviously, from the first time we met during those Warwick days, just over 5 years ago. Shit, I still can't believe you guys were teenagers. But anyway, you guys have really, wow. Luke, your confidence, and you've just become that much more cockier. But no, I think it's very interesting to also see how you guys have come in your own. like how your personalities have developed. And I'm going to go back to the office and hug my co-founder. Shout out to him as well. Like, it's just beautiful to see this relationship, how it's just flourished. And I'm just so grateful that I got to know you that day and we're still here together. And definitely it's come full circle. Thank you so much, guys, for giving me the time and for giving me so much love and respect. I mean, yeah, it just means the world to me. Thank you.
Thanks, man.
Thank you, Asim.
Thank you.
It's been a pleasure.
And for anyone listening, you're not alone. Whatever you're going through, people are there. And if there's anything that's bothering you, please talk about it. Please get help. Suicide is not the way. That's just, if there's one thing you take away from this conversation, please take away this. Please.
Absolutely. Amen to that. Thank you, guys.
Thank you very much.
Okay.